go ahead and get folks checked in as well. So as I call your name, if you could just confirm that that is correct, and then let me know how you're a part of this project. So I'll start with Mr. Is it
Bourgeois.
Bourgeois? Okay.
Yes. Matt Bourgeois. I am the homeowner and applicant.
Okay, great. Welcome, Matt. Matt, are you expecting anyone else to join us on the applicant owner side here today?
No.
Okay, great. Welcome. And I see we also have Wes Munzel from the City Zoning Department.
Good morning.
Morning. All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Microphone wise? Okay, great, fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and get started then. I need to read through our hearing script. This will just cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll get into it. So this is the April 17th, 2024 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. Again, my name is David Sturkey. I'll be presiding over the hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20240030. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any potential opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any potential opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If there were anyone here from the public, they'd have an opportunity to speak after the applicant has presented its case. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut or respond to that testimony offered in opposition. I'll also hear from the zoning plans examiner, Wes Munzel, to provide any testimony in addition to his staff report. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. Last thing I do is just swear in all of our witnesses. If you intend on providing any testimony here today, the zoning code requires that I swear you in. If that's you, if you could raise your right hand, either one to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
I do.
Okay, great. Mr. Bourgeois, is that right, Bourgeois?
Yes.
Sounds so close to bourgeois that I don't.
Well, so there's. I'll be brief because I know you guys all the time, but this is a source of great consternation when I married my wife. When I asked her to marry me, she said, "Well, before I say yes, I need to understand like how to pronounce it because you pronounce it 2 different ways." And I said, "Well, that's what my grandfather always did. When it was a formal setting, it was bourgeois, and when it was an informal setting, like with your friends, it's bourgeois. That's completely ridiculous." But that is how he always played it. So I followed suit.
Gotcha. Okay, that's really funny. Yeah, because bourgeois is like a class, right? It's like a upper
Yeah, it's like
class.
upper middle class, kind of just under royalty, new class, lawyers, doctors, and the sort. Not a peasant,
Gotcha.
but not royal.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for the lesson there.
Well, history
let's
you're
jump
saying
into
a lawyer is equal to royalty?
that is
just under.
I'm just kidding.
As a barrister in the meeting here, I can say that it's definitely not true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly.
No offense, Mr. Bourgeois, if you're also an attorney.
I'm not,
all right.
but my mother is, so that counts somewhat.
Got it. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Mr. Bourgeois, do you want to tell me a little bit about the project here?
Yeah. So my wife and I, we've lived at our house on Ludlow now for 14 years. Raised our 3 kids there. So but essentially, I think it was about 3 years ago, so like right before COVID, we had started looking at ways to replace our existing deck that's off the back of our house. It's being that we have a Ludlow address and a family, it's like kind of a dicey prospect of having private space and kind of safe space to convene as a family. And our deck is like, that's kind of ground zero for that. And what I would later find out is our deck is now at this point 46 years old. And so it was starting to show some significant signs of wear. And so we were like, this seems like a good time as any to look at replacing that deck. And I didn't really at the time fully appreciate what all went into replacing that deck. So we submitted an application, like I think I said, it was just before COVID hit. And the coordinated report came back and it said, oh, by the way, you've got a major sewer that's kind of running underneath where you propose to have the deck. And I said, well, there is a deck there now. And I wasn't aware of any sewers. They hadn't been, there was no easement. There was no record except in MSD's files. So we spent the next 2 or 3 years just kind of solving for that problem, really focusing on how do we ensure whatever we're doing doesn't compromise the sewer below it. And MSD was helpful with that. We just got that resolved. This would have been fall of 23. And that kind of, once we solved that problem, we knew we had a plan that worked that would get past that hurdle. And so that's when we started advancing it from a zoning standpoint. We applied with the plans you have in front of you, at which point we kind of re-engaged our neighbors because we had told them about it when we first started talking about it. And they were supportive. The plan is essentially to replace what's already there. So there's no kind of surprises as to what people are going to get. The elevation's the same, the location's the same. The only difference is essentially there's some acute angles on the deck that are really more kind of sculptural than anything. I think somebody thought it was a cool idea to have a 30-degree angle at the corner of your deck that's unusable. So we're going to take all those weird angles and basically make them 90 degrees. But for the purpose of my neighbors, it's the same deck, just brand new and nice. So they're all supportive. I think all of them sent in letters of support. And then I went to CTM zoning committee just to say, hey, I'm sure you guys have bigger things to deal with than this, but you'll probably get some notice that my deck is going to go for the zoning hearing. So if you want to chime in, kind of now's the time. I presented to them. They were totally cool with it. I think the way they play any zoning matter is to write letters of non-opposition and not support. So that's what they did. I think that was addressed to you, Mr. Sturkey. Is that right? Do you have that as part of the file?
Yes. I know that I had a couple from neighboring property owners, and
yeah, those would have been sent in pretty early. I think
Yeah.
the one from CTM would have come in this week.
Yep, got that on Monday. Yep, it'll be a part of the record.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So at this point, I think we have a kind of a plan that works for us. The biggest variance or exception request, however the proper terminology is the setback. And I think there was some kind of analysis that this was really technically for the purpose of zoning. I believe I got this right. Technically our backyard, or I forget. Anyways, that's kind of the most significant, or possibly the only exception being requested. So it is the exact same as the current condition. So
okay.
Our hope is that that's not a problem. Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm just sharing my screen.
Yes.
As we talk about this, so that I can make sure we're all on the same page.
For sure.
It is the current deck is located approximately in
correct,
this area,
right where your cursor is. Yes,
okay.
Right where your cursor is, right there, and it extends. It extends west, kind of up against that property line.
Got it. Okay. All right. And Wes, the rear yard here, is that the west side of the home? Is that what we're calculating as the rear yard because the corner lot?
Yeah, the corner lot situation, the smaller frontage dimension is, so Morrison is the front technically, and then thus the rear is opposite the front, so that west line is the rear. So
got it. Okay, thanks, that's helpful. Sorry, Mr. Bourgeois, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just wanted to add a little
no, not at all. I was just trying to kind of describe the nature of the request, and really kind of most importantly trying to tie to the fact that the deck that's currently there, that's 45 plus years old, was kind of properly permitted, went through the same process just prior to my even being alive. And so essentially what we're asking to do, I guess, is kind of re-up that exception.
Gotcha. Okay, so there's the new deck won't have any greater non-conformity than the last deck, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And is the size approximately the same in terms of square footage?
Like usable footage. Yeah. So what I was trying to describe, it's kind of awkward to do, but I'll use my hands. That'll be real effective. So essentially, there's two levels to the deck as it exists now, and it will be the same. The portions of it are at these weird angles. Like you get to the corner of the deck, and there's this acute angle, is how I described it earlier. We are going to make it a right angle. So by virtue of doing that, we are getting more usable square footage, but not necessarily increasing the size, if that makes sense. The footprint is probably the better way to describe it.
Sure, that makes sense. Okay. Let's see. And it was this. I thought I saw a picture. This looks like, is it a 2-story deck?
It's
Or...
so the topography of our house, our back door, which goes out onto the deck, is a full story above our basement. So if it makes sense, like you can walk out of our basement at grade. There we go. Perfect. So that's the existing deck. Obviously, there's a door that you can barely see on that that's completely covered in crap. Right where your cursor is there. There's a door. Sorry, there. That's how you get into our basement. But how you get into our we'll call it our main floor is by going up that set of deck stairs to the top level of our deck, and then into our back door, which is our kitchen, kind of our primary means of ingress egress.
Got it. Okay. And so these will be the new stairs, and this will just be sort of squared off back here.
And you can kind of see, you can see what I'm talking about with those angles, essentially.
Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. Great. Anything else you want to say before I give Wes a chance to weigh in?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward, but I'm certainly happy to answer questions.
Sure. Thanks. Wes?
I don't really have much to add other than just highlighting that there was a variance granted in 1977, as Matt mentioned, for the existing deck. So it seems like it's a similar request to create a brand new deck that'll last hopefully at least another 50 years or so, and make it a more efficient layout and all that. So thanks.
Great. Thanks, Wes. Was there a decision on that 1977 variance? Like a written decision?
I think it was. I tried to find the like on page 6. There's the screenshot of the case, and I think it's approved. You know, the language in there. But
yeah, I don't know. I got to go down to the building department and like essentially take a picture of a microfiche, which was a weird combination of technology.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. All right. Thanks, Wes. Mr. Bourgeois, anything in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today?
No, sir.
Okay. I've had a chance to review the application materials, the letters of support, and the staff report. Based on that and based on the testimony that I've heard here today, I'm going to approve the application. Need to formalize that approval in a written decision that will not be kept on microfiche one day or done on a typewriter. I will typically put that into a PDF when it's complete and then email it to everybody in the hearing here today. Mentioned at the beginning that takes about 2 weeks. Starting to get warmer out, and so we do tend to get a few more applications around this time. So I think 2 weeks is probably a realistic estimate. I'll do whatever I can to get that to you as soon as possible. As soon as you get that email, Wes will be CC'd, and Wes will be able to approve the permitting, and hopefully you all can move forward.
Cool. I'm excited. This is great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Any questions about any of that?
Not for me. I think I'm good to go.
Sure.
Hey, can I say one thing, Matt? So there was a revision submitted for the permit yesterday, so I can't approve that till David writes it up on paper. So just FYI that.
Right. Yeah. I think I think we had to clarify that, like what the setback was specifically. It wasn't called out for in the plans. I think we had to add something about like there will be lighting. It was very kind of technical, easy to do. So So what I think my understanding is then I'm more or less going to hold tight. I'll tell my contractor that we can expect probably a green light in 2 weeks. And so he can start, because we still need to finalize bids and all that fun stuff. He didn't want to do that until we had an official green light. So
Sure.
I'll
So-
get him one on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good you submitted a revision so building code reviewers can review it. But as soon as David emails that decision, I'll approve the zoning part, and then you can follow up with the building department on the actual permit.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay,
Good luck.
great. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Appreciate your
Appreciate
time. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
And we are adjourned. Have a good day, everyone.
All right.